Welcome back to Flashpoint. The number of black voters heading to the polls here in Mecklenburg County is dropping. And now there's a new effort to help voters get ahead, informing them on the issues and the candidates on the ballot. And organizers say the key is early voting as Black History Month kicks off. Joining us now is Colette Forrest with the Black Voter Project. Colette, welcome back. A frequent guest over the years on Flashpoint.
Thank you. Always honored. And oh my God, the studio is like so hype.
I know. We've been on Zoom for years, you know, with our interviews, so it's nice to have you in person. First things first, what is the Black Voter Project and what's the motivation behind it?
Thank you for asking. So the Charlotte Black Voter Project was birthed literally last year. We had a meeting, myself and community stakeholders met over at Attorney Ferguson's law office because we were becoming increasingly alarmed at the precipitous drop of black voters participating. In 2020, you had 246,000 black registrants. You actually had 154,000 vote. However, in 2022, you're still over 200,000 black voters and only 91,000 voted. And in 2023, you have over 200,000 black registrants in Mecklenburg County. We're just talking Mecklenburg County, and only 71,000 black voters cast their ballot.
Let me stop you. What do you see as the reason behind that drop?
We have done focus groups and we have done surveys and we have scoured the county to find out. Black voters, black registered voters in Mecklenburg County are probably very similar to black registered voters throughout the nation and throughout the state of North Carolina. They don't feel like their vote matters. They feel like those that are being represented or being elected to represent do not represent their best interests. They're not looking out for their best interests. They're being ignored and their interests are not being looked after. So they've come to the conclusion, why should I vote? Because you've got to remember there is a generational shift that's occurring where a lot of the new registrants, especially 30 and under, they don't know about the struggle, about Rosa Parks, about Martin Luther King, about the Voting Rights Act, about John Lewis, about the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They know nothing about the history and the struggle of how our ancestors fought to get us the right to vote. Their bottom line, what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
What can you do for me? How can you make my life better?
And, you know, we saw that fight play out here in the city of Charlotte over the decades as well, important to say. Knowing that the answer is a complicated one, what do we do to change that apathy?
So last week, on January the 24th, we had a huge first forum that we've ever had. We had over 200 individuals to come. We had students. We had students from West Charlotte. We had students from the Fletcher School. We had students from Providence Day. We had students from East Meck. We had students from Palisade. And they were able to ask questions of the candidates. And we had represented the gubernatorial candidates. We had represented the lieutenant governor candidates. We had represented the attorney general candidates. We had represented the Supreme Court candidates. We had represented the Court of Appeals candidates. So we were extraordinarily humbled by the array of candidates that we had represented. And one thing that we did different with the Charlotte Black Voter Project, we only focused on the races that had black candidates vying for their particular party affiliation and nomination. And we're nonpartisan. So for all of those races that I listed, all of which are Council of State slate races, we had black candidates vying for their particular party nomination.
Let's talk about voter ID that is now in place across the state of North Carolina. Now, I know county officials say there hasn't been much of a problem with it, but does it worry you?
It does worry the Charlotte Black Voter Project, and to that end, we reached out to the Mecklenburg Board of Election, and we had Mecklenburg Board of Election staff on site, and they had a voting machine where people could get familiar with how to vote, because we don't want for anyone to be afraid or scared of the process and what it looks like. We wanted to make it intimate and familiar with voters, and we had the voter ID machine there so they could get voter IDs made. We want at the Charlotte Black Voter Project to release all information to the public and remove all impediments for the public so there's no excuses.
Remove any barriers out there. You're encouraging folks to start early voting, and that comes up in just
Thursday, February the 15th,
Right.
and it runs until Saturday, March the 2nd. Now, our second phase of the Charlotte Black Voter Project, we are canvassing. We are knocking on doors in Black communities. We are going to start canvassing on February the 10th, and our meetup place is Rita Memorial Baptist Church. We're nonpartisan, so we're going to have a sample ballot. We're going to ask simple questions like, are you aware that there's an upcoming election? Are you registered to vote? Do you know where you're going to vote? And what are your voting rights? Those are the simple, fundamental questions that we're going to be asking and knocking on doors of Black voters and Black homes so we can get them engaged, encouraged, and entice them to, come on, let's cast that ballot.
For you, what does success look like?
Success looks like getting above 30% of the registrants of Black voters here in Mecklenburg County.
Do you think you can do that?
We're trying all we can. All we can do is try. Nothing beats a failure but a try. And we're going to try because we're not only canvassing on the 10th, we're canvassing the following Saturday. On the 17th, we're canvassing the following Saturday. On the 24th. And we're also going to couple with the Black lawyers here in Charlotte and other organizations to have a voter protection session to teach individuals what to look like. Do you know you're being harassed? Are you being intimidated by the polls? What are your resources? What are your tools if people are trying to intimidate you when you cast your vote and are trying to cast your ballot to vote?
And if people want to get involved, they're more curious about your organization, how can they find out?
Charlotte Black Voter Project at gmail.com.
Okay, send an email there. All right. Colette Forrest, nice to have you on Flashpoint. Good to see you as always.
Always wonderful to have you.
Right.
Always wonderful to talk with you and be here.
It's always nice to have you. Up next on Flashpoint, our WCNC Charlotte investigation continues. Police seizing so much money through a program, they don't quite know what to do with it.